wait a minute, just pump the brakes. 40 FPS, but my TV is getting 120. Look, I'm not saying that you're gonna try this and now just play all the games at 40 frames per second, because that's really, really low. It sucks. But if you have the horsepower and a 240 hertz plus display, this might be absolutely mind-blowing, because it is so good already at 40 frames per second. This looks incredible. Okay, this looks better than any TV, motion interpolation algorithm. You can barely see the defects. Look at this. Just look at the background. Okay, if I look at the background, I see zero defects. Okay, nothing whatsoever. It's just absolutely perfect. I'm panning the camera right now. I see some stutters. Go figure. It might be the game. It might be, the performance is not perfect. I have to try with more games to see what's going on. But I'm talking about the quality. This just does not have any defects right now here. Now, if I look for them, of course, if I look surrounding the character, I do see the defects. But this is not terrible. You tell me, this is not terrible. I can see it. Yeah, I can see that. If I do it faster, yeah, I can see that. That looks broken. But we're talking about 40 frames per second. Okay? So if I try to aim, let's try to change, let's try to change the weapon here and aim. I actually forgot how to do that. Okay, here it is. Let's look at the scope. Yes, it's not perfect. I see some shakiness and some noise surrounding the scope. But this is not a deal breaker at all. I mean, you can definitely play like this. Now, how about the input lag? Yeah, it's not great. It's just 40 frames per second. Okay? This is not great. Ta-da, 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 but it's not. It's like 40 frames per second of input lag. So I can only imagine how good is this at 80 frames per second. So multiply 80 by 3, you get 240 frames per second delivered to your display with the input lag of 80. And of course, the interpolation artifacts are gonna be less. I have to guess that. I cannot confirm that to you, but it has to be less interpolation artifacts. Better input lag. Better quality. You tell me. I wish I had that display to test it and let you know, but this is mighty impressive. And let me tell you, I am not here hyping this up because I'm getting sponsored by this, the creators of this program. It is just a small studio, members of our community, just like 2 developers, I believe. And I really want to support them because they are working for the things that really matter. It looks like they are actually gamers, or they play games, or they really care about the things that we need. So they are aware. It seems like they are aware of all the noises and the post-processing garbage, the blurriness, the need for upscaling. This program has so many upscaling options. Look at this. Lossless scaling. You can get this on Steam. It's very cheap. Look at this. This is what I'm talking about. Frame generation X3. So this generates 2 intermediate frames. Okay? So now look at this. Scaling types. This is crazy. Okay, I haven't even tried all of this to see what's the difference. They might be great. They might work okay in some instances. But the thing is, this frame generation works for everything. This works for movies, for videos, for any game. You just hit here, upscale, done. So now here's what you have to do. You need to max out the refresh rate of your display and then lock the FPS. So right now I have my LG C1 at 120 Hertz on the NVIDIA control panel, and then I lock the FPS on the game to 40. Okay, so 40 multiplied by 3, you get 120. That's what I'm trying today. And would I play the game like this? No, of course not. I might try to do 60, from 60 to 120, just to have a higher frame rate base, so the input lag is better, the interpolation artifacts are less, or I might even try a different option. I'm not saying this is going to be for everyone. Okay, there are some people who cannot live with this defects, but what I see is that this is getting so good that there's going to be a point where you would be crazy if you don't use this, unless you're a competitive player. And of course, that's not gonna help you a lot if you are chasing the best input lag. Although I have to say, the input lag with this program is really impressive. I don't really see like a big hit on the response. Of course, the frame rate here is too low, but from 60, I just see the input lag I get at 60 FPS, which is not great. But if you have a 240 Hertz display, you do 120 FPS to 240, that might be perfect. You might not be able to have any complaints about the input lag. The interpolation artifacts might be almost none. I would like to test that really. So yeah, but still, it's not for everyone. There are some people who are like, no, I want real FPS, and but the thing with that is, you will never get a perfect gaming experience with real frames, because it's just not gonna be possible. Okay, we already have 1000 Hertz displays, okay, LCDs, but OLEDs are going there too. So once we have 1000 Hertz, we need 1000 FPS to get that that motion clarity. You're not gonna get that with real frames, no way. Okay, even if the GPUs get absurdly powerful, the CPU I think is gonna be the biggest limitation. Okay, especially when you start to crank up the settings, it's not gonna happen with real frames. So you have to join. You have to join the motion interpolation. Of course, we have other techniques that might be applied in conjunction with motion interpolation, like what they use on VR, this asynchronous reprojection. Outside of VR is possible. We have a program that does it. I think that's where we are going. We're going a little bit of that, a little bit of this AI to hide the artifacts, but we definitely need this. So these developers working in lossless scaling, I think they are on the right track. They are working on the things that we really need, and they are doing a fantastic job, because last time I checked this, it was not as good as this when it comes to quality. From 60 to 120, it wasn't as good as this. It had more artifacts, and now this just looks absurd. If I look at the background, yeah, I see some stutters now. I don't know why. This game's messed up. I have to try with other games, and you let me know. If you give this a try, let me know what is your experience when it comes to the stuttering. But aside from that, I don't see any defects whatsoever. When I look at the horizon, it is so good. And before, there was some jumpiness and weird artifacts that I was seeing on the background sometimes, and now I don't see that at all. So this is really good. So let me know your thoughts and opinions. What is your experience with this program? Which one of these scaling types you like to use? Of course, we have DLSS. I doubt that using this is gonna be better, but there are some games, maybe old games, that do not have DLSS. Of course, the best thing about an old game is to just turn off anti-aliasing and just increase the resolution. Use something like deep learning, DLDSR. But if it's demanding and it doesn't have a good upscaling, then maybe these are great. I haven't tested them enough to tell you. Let me know. what is your experience? And if you tried this with the latest update, maybe you had it and you haven't tried it in a while, and give it a try and let me know how do you see the improvements. Because me, I've been very busy. I haven't even played this game. You see, this is the same same place where I tested it last time. Now it's not working. You can see the difference. 40 frames per second really sucks. This is really bad. So yeah, it's a monumental difference. So yeah, let me know your thoughts and opinions if you give this a try, especially if you have a 240 hertz or even 360 or beyond, and you can get that FPS to triple it. Let me know how that works. Of course, it's not free. If you're getting, of course, the program is not free, but I'm talking about the performance. If you're getting, let's say, 80 frames per second without this, and you turn it on, it's not gonna stay at 80 frames per second. It's gonna drop probably to 60 maybe, or even lower. So yeah, it's not free. You might have to lower the settings, but triple the FPS, that's not gonna happen with any settings you lowered. Not even if you just crush if you lower the resolution to a point where just crushing everything, it looks terrible. You're not tripling your FPS, especially at those high frame rates, because you're just gonna be CPU bound. So this is absolutely fantastic in my opinion. And if it keeps getting better at this rate, there's gonna be a point where you just have to use this, especially when the game doesn't have good frame generation, or messed up, or it just doesn't support it. We have a lot of those too. Maybe you can use both. That's another thing. Maybe you can get your target FPS with FSR3 frame generation or NVIDIA frame generation, and then on top of that, you do this. That's gonna be like the ultimate fake frames setup. But it might work. It might work, especially if the NVIDIA or FSR3 frame generation looks good and it doesn't have a lot of artifacts. Maybe it's gonna be almost perfect. But of course, I expect NVIDIA to do this too. I don't see why they haven't done it yet, because it is obvious that we need it. Okay, especially once those 500 and 1000 hertz displays start to be mainstream, we definitely need this. And I don't think NVIDIA should have any issues and just tripling it, quadrupling it, and potentially, of course, making it look better than this, because it would be hardware accelerated in a RTX way. Okay, and of course you need to buy the new GPU, because the more you buy, the more you save. That's right. So yeah, they're just gonna make you buy the new GPU, and so maybe if you have an old GPU, this is still going to be the way. But yeah, let's see what happens. Let me know your thoughts and opinions, and if you have any questions.